Hello everybody, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. Tough, painful, horrific Sunday. Just absolute horror show. And that's just me with this hangover. So you're just going to have to bear with me when it comes to how I'm going to feel and how I'm going to be able to talk through this game. But we're going to give it a bloody good go. Okay? This is every little bit of energy that I've got right now to talk about one hell of a game at Manchester Derby. Of course, Manchester United lost this game 4-1. I'm intrigued. I'm watching Sky Sports at the moment. Haven't heard from Roy Keane or any of those guys. And I'm sure there'll be like an outrageous amount of hyperbole. I felt like Gary Neville's kind of going down that road a little bit myself as well. Kind of going, they'd quit. They were embarrassed. Yes, they were embarrassed a little bit, and we'll dive into that in just a second. But I think we've also got to remember, because it's so easy, just let's go down the negative road, and there are negative elements for Man United, which I'll definitely get into. But that Man City side is outrageous. It's so balanced, the work rate that's there. They tick every single box, and like to the highest level. So when you're comparing these two, I mean, it's pretty outrageous in itself. From the stats, I think the damning thing, which is what Gary Neville was talking about, which I get, is the fact that in that second half, it's as bad as that. And let's just show you in nice and close, because 79% possession, they couldn't really get anywhere near them at all as well. And look, 0 shots, nothing. Absolutely, obviously, no big chances. It all gets, I mean, there's a reason why it's 0, isn't it? Because there were no shots. They couldn't get up the pitch at all. So in the second half, that happens, right? But part of that is down to the fact that they weren't in the game at that moment in time. And that's the thing I would come back to with this. And it's about individual errors. Because you know what it's like when you play Man City. It's always the same story. They're going to dominate the ball. They're going to dominate possession. Like, they're going to have it, even in the first half, which Man United did some good things in the first half. I thought I understood the shape. I think if we have a look at the shape, we can see it here. It wasn't like that at all, to be honest. You had Bruno Fernandes and Pogba sort of playing as almost like two false nines a little bit. It's essentially a pressing forwards, I guess, if you say, with Bruno Fernandes trying to make those runs or get on the ball, and then trying to get Jadon Sancho to get forward for the team, Elanga as well, which they struggled to do so. I'll show you their average positions in a second. But in the first half of the game, 61% to 39%, it's not terrible, creating things at times, but still, I think, look, you see 336 passes to 218. Man City was still the dominant team, and they're always going to be the dominant team. And we've seen this. And in terms of the points that got dropped by Man City recently, it does all come down to defending with tenacity, putting your body on the line, smelling the danger, and stopping the opposition. And for me, Telles was absolutely dreadful in this game. Pretty much from start to finish. Couldn't get anywhere near Mahrez. Poor with the ball, I thought, at times. And that first goal is hugely down to him. Now, when a goal is scored, often there's a few mistakes in the run-up to it. But for Telles in particular, in my opinion, what happens there is Lindelof gets kind of dragged out of position a little bit. That's going to happen. That freezes Maguire's positioning a little bit. That's the other thing as well. And I'm sure people will be straight in the comments to go hard in on Harry Maguire. But that first goal, for me, has got nothing to do with Harry Maguire. Because Harry Maguire's in a position where he has to be as that centre-back, especially once Lindelof has vacated that space. He's frozen a little bit. It then gets put on Telles for me. Telles needs to understand the situation and be a leader. Drag people in. He had two options. You watch that goal again. He's got the option to go and sense the danger. You can retain that position to make sure that you're okay with the back post. But you can be on your toes and ready to go and get De Bruyne. Because when we see Bernardo Silva or any player get to the byline, there's two methods available to you in terms of the cross. You either pull it back to the penalty spot or you do it across the 6-yard line. Harry Maguire's dealing with that first one. Telles has to go and deal with the second one. It's not good enough. He should see it. He should sense it. He should smell it. And he should take control of those situations, because there has to be that desire to stop the opposition, especially Man City in games like this, because that's what it will come down to. Man City, you know how it works. You have to get to half-time. You have to get to half-time possibly in the lead. You have to get the first goal. And for that to happen, you're going to have to defend a lot. And you're going to have to pick up runners as well. So that is unexcusable. You know, in the second half, once the game's gone and they've got 90% possession, I can live with that a little bit. Because this idea, also another thing that Gary Neville was talking about was that, or Martin Tyler was saying, you're gonna crunch someone at some point. It's ultimately pointless to do that. You're just going to get someone sent off, and then those same pundits will go, he's lost his head there, nonsense, rubbish. We're not playing that kind of football anymore. So that's difficult. The other thing that's difficult with them is that they obviously did fall off a cliff in terms of that tenacity that they need, in terms of how they want to press and have that identity. I thought Bruno Fernandes had that. I thought he showed a lot of spirit in the game. Yes, he's a grumpy one, but he was always offering, the ability to press, the ability to work hard. And I was impressed with him at times. Obviously, second half, the game goes away from you. So he has those problems. But these individual errors, the first goal, Telles, as I say, it's a massive, massive problem for me to not overly go and stand on De Bruyne, but just be ready and go and read that situation. Second goal that Sancho scores, that's a great move from Man United, but we saw none of that in the second half, and that drills down on the problem that they have in terms of being able to hold onto the ball, work through the lines, especially against an incredible press that you see with Man City, and this Man City team works so bloody hard. And then the third goal, something they didn't really focus on really, is, again, basic stuff. Alanga, look, the guy's a kid, so fair enough, you're going to cut him some slack, but that is a terrible, terrible pass that he makes. And from then on, it is a catalogue of errors. Foden's fantastic in those moments as well, but overall, it all comes from that tepid pass that he plays that puts you into trouble. Second half, of course, Mahrez gets his goals, and they're purring by this point. And as I say, we look at the stats here in the second half. 14 shots to none is absolutely amazing. And the play areas as well, you can see it there as well. None of the game being played. And that focus for Man City was down that left-hand side. Let's have a little look at it, because the average positions were really important here. And it's the same stuff that they often do. And De Bruyne in particular, kind of, because that focus was down that left-hand side, as you can see here in the second one, always is down the left-hand side with Man City. But what I love, and I think that's the best formation that you'll get from a Man City. And when it's not going well, when it's 0-0 after 60 minutes, De Bruyne starts to go off and want to get involved in the game. But because the way the game was the way that it was, he actually played in the best position that he is for this team. Because when they're focused down that left-hand side, here's De Bruyne here. When they focus down that left-hand side, Man City, which they always do, there is space here. And it's not a coincidence that De Bruyne and Riyad Mahrez are the two that get the goals here. In particular, Riyad Mahrez, who's now got 20 goals, I think, or 21 goals, because he can go both ways, but he also is afforded so much space because, if we draw a line right in the middle here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in particular that 4 of Silva and Grealish and Foden, stay on that left-hand side. And what's great with De Bruyne, and he's so wonderful at it, and this is what I'm happy with him, with the fact that he stayed in that area, is he stays in this blind spot. Let me show you this with the heat map, because you get it from his average position, him being on that side. But when there is that focus and there's sucking in of bodies over here, because you're dealing with all these runs, him staying here, often, even if he does want to get involved here, he can do so and be really, really difficult to pick up, because there is that focus of that overload on that left-hand side. And then someone like De Bruyne is he's a nightmare to not know where he is. That's going to be a bit of a disaster. And again, with all that space and focus on that right-hand side, and you can see it with the average positions of Man United as well. Again, they have to go and follow all those players on that left-hand side. It just creates so much space for Man City. Look, the goals were individual areas. I go back to that, and that's what I mean. Man City are a better football team. They are the best team in the world, quite possibly. The chemistry and connections that they have with each other, the movement is outrageous. So Man United were never going to be able to offer that. So you've got to be perfect defensively. And that is the biggest problem for Man United right now. They don't have the capability to be perfect defensively. Grealish came and played on that left-hand side and concentrated there. But I did want to just talk about Bernardo Silva. As I say, Grealish hugs that left touchline to create the overloads. But Bernardo Silva, I mean, wow. In terms of being an on option there, but also being that runner to get to the byline as well. The guy's a Swiss Army knife for him, in terms of flexibility that he can do. And you take De Bruyne off, And you just go, all right, go play on the right-hand side then for a bit. He's so influential to this Man City team, and people don't really focus on it at all. Amazing game for him. Walk in the park for the rest of them, if we're honest. Man United, look, the identities, I thought there were moments there we go, oh, okay, I can kind of see what's happening here. And the great thing was that Man United were trying and attempting to be proactive, but it will take time. And when it is like that, when it's games like this, you've got to be perfect defensively. And those kind of stupid mistakes for the first goal and the second goal, it will cost you points against the best team in the world, or one of the best teams in the world. Man United fans, let me know how you feel. I think it's one where you kind of go, well, I think you've got to hold your hands up a little bit, but it does come back to those individual errors for a lot of these players. I thought Lindelof, by the way, because there is on Twitter, and I've said this a few times, look, Maguire is not the perfect player. I obviously have no doubts about that, but Lindelof was useless today and won't get the same heat. He just won't. Telles was terrible in this game. Won't get the same heat. Everyone will go after Maguire. I'm not saying he should be shouldn't get criticism. I understand that. The booking that he gets is embarrassing, to be honest. But it's not just him. Lindelof today in particular, I thought was woeful, and Telles, as I say, and Scott McTominay. I thought he had a decent game for them. I think he's growing into that role a little bit, but there's still the same problem that he doesn't always want the ball, and with the pressure that a Man City side puts on you, if you want to be the best, and Man United obviously want to be the best, there is a long, long way to go here for them. But they've played the best today, and they've been torn apart. Let me know what you think, guys, in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you want on the fallout tomorrow as well. Going to be keeping an eye on the comments. And as I said, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to march to 200k, and we need every single one of you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.